You're watching IGN Live. You tell. Okay, Remedy is best known for crafting wholly unique narrative single-player experiences, but later this year, we'll get to venture deeper into the Control and Alan Wake universe and bring some friends along for the ride. Here to tell us about FBC Firebreak, please welcome game director Mike Kayatta. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll jump into FBC in just a moment, but I want to point out you brought some special items here.
Yeah.
This is some unique merch here. You want to speak to this?
Yeah. So we've got these bags, of course, with the Firebreak logo. But the best thing is actually hiding inside of this bag.
What could it be?
I think it might be the first time we've ever had merch that's soap.
It is soap.
Not actually a comment on people who play the game.
We've given away a lot of things on the IGN stage. Someone's heart was just given away on the stage just now. That's real. But at the end of this interview, we'll toss these out to you guys. Okay, FBC, they love Control.
Hey, great.
Alan Wake fans? FBC has some unique enemies in it.
Yes.
I like. Tell us about the sticky note guy.
Yeah,
Have you guys seen the sticky note guy?
Yeah. Sticky Ricky.
Okay, sticky Ricky. Good. Hopefully we can get an image up here. There we go. Yeah. Okay, tell us, where did this come from?
Yeah, where did it come from? Oh my gosh, good question. So obviously in Control, you may have noticed if you kind of walked off the beaten path a little bit, there was a room made of, well, not made of, but just covered in sticky notes, like head to toe. Not a ton of explanation actually for it. And we looked at it, and so many people were really into that room and that space that we just decided to say, oh, well, what if there were just more sticky notes than this? And then what if there were even more sticky notes than this? And then at some point, things just kept growing quite literally inside of the game until we decided, hey, you know, we should just fill an entire room with them.
Can you provide any pro tips on when people encounter Sticky Ricky, how should they handle them?
Yeah, well, just like in real life when you run into sticky notes, the best thing to do is cover it in water and then shock it with electricity.
Oh, perfect.
The room is actually kind of set up with a series of sort of almost like Home Alone style traps that you can kind of like repair, get a big shower going, knock them with electricity, and take them down.
Perfect. All right, there's so many weird, cool weapons in the game, like the hand-cranked snowball launching gun, the large wrench that when a squeaky piggy bank toy is attached, it pelts your opponents with coins. What is the craziest weapon in the game, in your opinion?
Oh man, I don't know what you could call the craziest, but my favorite has got to be the garden gnome, which is kind of like your para-utility, charges up in the big moments of need, stick a garden gnome on the end of your tool, fire him out. He kind of chases the nearest person, so hopefully that's the enemy, but it's way funnier when it's you, and it's way funnier when it's your friends.
Did you set out to get silly with the Control universe?
Yeah, it's interesting coming off of Control, of course, which is a lot more of like a horror, almost like cosmic horror, like a single player, like exploratory thing. But there's always that like really wonderful edge of absurdity, I think, that kind of like really made Control into what it was. So for us, we just decided to take the same ingredients and just like reverse them. So instead, we kind of lean really hard into the absurdity, but then we still have this kind of like horror edge. You know, when you go see Sticky Ricky, you hear somebody screaming for their life, like, Sticky Rick! They think they're going to die. And so that's kind of where we landed.
So Remedy is behind big titles, you know, obviously Alan Wake, Control. Sure. How does Remedy plan to use Firebreak to add to this sort of shared universe?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's a tricky one for us in a sense because, you know, if you signed up to play that, you know, really hardcore like third-person action exploratory sequence, it didn't really feel fair. Like to continue that story, you have to go into this bonkers three-player cooperative multiplayer experience. So we are canon. We take place 6 years after Control, but we did want to really make sure that we protected the idea that if you didn't play Control, you can fully enjoy this game, and then vice versa. Sure. You know, if you like Control, you want to give this one a pass, wait for Control 2. That's all good too. Like it's pretty walled off.
Are there new areas in the FBC that we get to run around in?
Oh yeah, definitely. So some stuff that you'll recognize, some stuff that you've never seen before, but all of it is like built from the ground up just for this game.
So like you said, set 6 years after the events of Control.
Yeah.
Why has the FBC been under siege for over a year, I think?
Well,
is Jessie just bad at her job?
Oh no, I can't go on record saying Jessie's bad at her job. Leaving Jessie aside, I will say that I think what the FBC discovers is that the hiss, you know, these horrible enemies that are the reason for the lockdown, they're sort of like ants. I actually grew up in Texas, and we have a lot of fire ants, and you think you can kill all of them, and you literally just can't. No matter how many of those things you take out, there's more. And that's just sort of what they realized over the years with the hiss. So they're going to need a much better solution than just a bunch of guns.
Sure. So this is basically Remedy's first time making a first-person shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Decades of third-person games. So what have been the challenges and the rewards that you've encountered during the process?
Oh boy, so many challenges and also so many rewards. Yeah, I think one of the cool things was when we started, we knew we didn't want to just feel like we were like a Control mod. So one of the first things that we did was we modded Control inside of the building and put it in first person and played the whole game in first person. And it was really cool to just learn things about the oldest house and things about Control. And I think one of the most fun things was like getting the hiss like here. And you think like, okay, really, what's the big deal? It's third person, it's first person. It's a gigantic change, a complete different change. And then of course, like thinking about the space. In Control, no pun intended, we control, typically speaking, kind of where the player is, what they're seeing at any given time. And in this game, you just kind of let the players go. They see things from any perspective they want, like sideways, teabagging, doesn't matter. They're doing all sorts of stuff. And so one of the big challenges was, like how do you kind of keep that artistry in the space and that immersive space, but also just completely let it go and say, hey, you guys are going to see what you see and interact with it the way that you interact with it.
So FBC Firebreak is, by design, not a live service game.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how you landed on that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like no shade on any games that take on like the more nowadays traditional live service model. But for us, I think like one of those things is like, when I play a lot of multiplayer games, it's amazing to me when you hear like, hey, we're going to be adding more content later. I actually get like a pit in my stomach as opposed to getting super excited and saying, oh, awesome, they're going to take my favorite game and add even more stuff. And we just kind of wanted to come back and fulfill that feeling. Like, oh, there's an update. Like, I'm actually excited. I don't feel like super stressed on my time. I don't feel like, oh man, new battle pass. I've got 28 days and I've got 19 other games I'm balancing at the same time. So for us, we looked at games like Left 4 Dead 2, things that you can kind of just like pick up, put down, step away from a year, come back, just enjoy it with your friends. Not a big barrier to entry. It doesn't really like force you to engage with it all the time, which of course like sounds bad. Of course we want you to engage with the game, but we don't want to like enforce that for anybody. Sure. If this is your game for an hour a week, if this is your game for 10 hours a week, we just wanted to kind of have that more old school idea about like multiplayer and co-op and just kind of tap into that a bit.
Yeah, love it. So obviously Firebreak's not quite here yet, but can you give us any sort of a hint as to what to expect with the post-release roadmap?
Yeah, no, I definitely can. Yeah, so we're launching the game with like 5 jobs, which is kind of what we call they're kind of like game modes more than levels that you might expect in something with a campaign. And this year we've already got 2 more of those coming, which is going to grow the game by about 40% already in the first year. And we're already hard at work on those things too. So yeah, we've got actually quite a bit in store for the year.
Now we're here talking about FBC Firebreak, but can you tell us anything, any sort of update on the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, right?
Oh man. That is completely redacted.
I know you're not, you're busy with FBC, but just walking through the office, you don't see someone's working on something on their monitor and like.
See nothing, hear nothing, know nothing.
Okay, okay. Well, maybe we should share some of these cool items that we've got here.
Yeah, all right.
God, it's been so well behaved. Grab a couple.
All right.
We'll see. We'll try not to.
I don't want to hit anybody.
Remember these guys? Soap. Here we go. These kids right here. There you go. Soap. You already have yours? You ready? Right here. There you go. All right, awesome. Okay. You can check out FBC Firebreak for yourself in less than 2 weeks when it hits PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC on June 17th. But right now, more IGN Live. So make like a Post-it and stick around.